Remember, there's some pretty important information here in the disclaimer. You might want to give the video a quick pause and read it.
Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog! Just here to remind you that if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. And for even more amazing customs, don't forget to subscribe to Wakeangel2K1, because between you and me, they're way past cool.
Hello my friends, this is Wakeangel2K1 coming at you with the first custom of August. It is a Whisper the Wolf, but this time done in Jakks Pacific scale. So here is a really nice 3D model made by DeviantArt user NibRockRock, which is quite frankly awesome. It's a really good looking 3D model. Like, holy crap, dude, that's freaking sweet. Let's get into this. The base figure, the same as Tangle, is this Daenerys Targaryen from the Game of Thrones Loyal Subjects toy line, and she basically is dismantleable the same way that most of the other Loyal Subjects figures are. Let's get started on just what I did to the body first, because that's quick and easy to get out of the way. Minimal conversions. Just had to sculpt on her little corset thing that Whisper wears, and then paint her. She has like a brown skin tone, along with gray pants, and her little corset being white. I still kind of insist that the outfit that she wears is very similar to Leela's from Futurama. Like, now that I said that, you're gonna look at it and you're gonna say, "Holy crap! Yeah, you're right, Wake Angel. It's kind of weird." Even though I know she was supposed to be based off of the Avatar character from Sonic Forces, like, I really can't stop thinking how much she looks like Leela. Okay, so now let's get into the 3D printing stuff, because this is kind of fun. My initial plan was to make the head in parts. Here is a quick draft print of Whisper's head for your convenience. This is the one based off of the NibRock model. Now, my initial idea was that I would make this head, and then I would make swappable features. Like, there would be a bang, then there will be a mask that goes on side of the bang, and then there will be a mask that she could actually wear, and you will be able to swap them out with a peg that you would stick into a hole right in front of her ear. Now, the only problem is, my printer doesn't use the right kind of plastic for that kind of gimmick. Maybe if I used a nylon-based filament so that the material will be softer and more flexible. I've heard people use nylon-based 3D prints to make like articulated action figures with ball joints and all that, but the PLA-type plastic that my printer actually uses, I'm not even sure if it's compatible with nylon. I have to do my research on that. The PLA-type plastic is way too hard. Like, those pegs just kind of snap off, and it's just they can't produce a good amount of friction without like breaking. So I instead had to go ahead and make a separate head for a different look. Now, NibRock's model actually, the person that parted out the model to turn into a printable action figure type thing didn't actually make a version of Whisper's head with the mask on the side. Like, they were counting on the whole swapping bang gimmick. So I went to my buddy Corey Sonic Fan, who ripped the official model of her head from Sonic Forces Speed Battle. Specifically, he ripped the version of the head that has the mask up on the side. You know, like the one that's actually homaging the Sonic Forces avatar. And I printed that one directly. Seeing side by side the two high fidelity prints, you can actually see how the NibRock model is actually more detailed than the official one. especially around the eyes. Like, I know some of it is because it didn't come out in the print, but on the game model of Whisper's face, her eyes are just like lines where the eyelashes go. But Nibrock's model actually has like texture for the actual bumps and ridges of her eyelids, which is really cool. Also, in Nibrock's model, the nose is actually like a nose that pinches off, while in the official game model, her muzzle just kind of comes to a point, and then the tip of it is painted black. I just find that a little bit amusing. The ponytail is 3D printed based off of Nibrock's model. I did it twice and stuck it onto both heads, and we'll get to that part later. The other 3D printed parts I used were, of course, the hands and the boots, and the tail, of course, like I always do. In this case, the hands and the tail are based off of Nibrock's model, and I gotta say, these are some of the cleanest hands I ever printed that weren't fists. Like, I'm always confounded by how difficult it is to print hands, because all the fingers, like, the 3D printer just can't get those ridges right without, like, completely screwing everything up. But these hands came out amazingly clean. I'm not sure if it's just because of the way that Nibrock's model was built or something, but I'm just really happy that they barely needed me to do any touch-ups. And then the boots are not from Nibrock's model. The boots are from the official game model. This happened when I was trying to rescale the figure. I was trying to rescale the feet to be the same size as Tangle's feet so that the figures would scale right, but then I found that like the height was off, like they were way too short. Nibrock's model does look really good, but like technically when placed directly next to a game model, apparently the feet just aren't the right size. So yeah, official game model feet. And they printed out almost perfectly, but there was some kind of defect right on the toe. I fixed that with a little bit of sculpt. So, you know, the hands are simply attached to the wrist pegs from the Daenerys hands and plugged into the arms. Those little elbow pads are hand sculpted because, you know, I just didn't need to waste all the time to 3D print the things. They're so tiny. Same thing with the knee pads on the legs. They are hand sculpted, whilst the boots are... I physically drilled into them, cut the foot of the Daenerys figure down so that all that was left was the ball joint sticking off of a spike, which I then drilled a hole into the boots so that it would go deep enough in. I measured the hips of the Tangle figure to make sure I was putting the feet in just the right distance, so all is well and good. And I made sure the figure could stand well, so there you go, that's her body. And now that you see her body, like, tell me that doesn't look like Leela from Futurama. I mean, the gray pants, the boots, the white, like, the only difference is that it's a corset instead of a tank top, but it really does look like Leela's costume. Like, it's almost like it was, like, I don't know, is it intentional? I doubt it is, but it looks, it's really coincidental how similar these costumes look. I think it's mostly the color composition, but still. And then, of course, the tail is simply 3D printed Nibrock rock. So painting the heads was predictably a pain, because there's like yellow and white and all these little details, especially on the version of the head that has the mask, because I had to paint around all the details of the mask. And I drilled it in such a way that the heads could easily be swapped around. Here is a work in progress of me having painted the head. I paint for the unmasked head, I painted it first, then I attached her bang, both with glue and a little bit of epoxy to make it look less obvious that it's attached. And then, I had to wait for the epoxy to harden and then paint that, so that's why her bangs are still white here. Then, she has a cloak. The cloak is nothing too fancy. I just measured a circle that would be about the right size, cut it into a cone, and then attached it to itself. With a hole in the middle to go over her neck. To put the cloak on and off, you simply had to remove her head, and then put the cloak over the neck, and then put the head back on. Since there is such a simple head swapping gimmick here, the cloak is very easy to put on and off in this case. Unlike on the Jazzwares figure, where it actually is attached with a pin, like an actual cloak. That's because on the Jazzwares figure, it's held on with a mushroom cap, so the head is much more difficult to take on and off. But now I'm just kind of rambling, so let's take a look at the completed figure. Here is Whisper in her unequipped mode. She has no mask, no cloak. She's just in her casual everyday wear to hang out with her best friend Tangle. And, yeah, looking pretty good. Fully articulated, of course. Ball-jointed shoulders, swivel wrists, ball-jointed hips, knees, swivel at the waist, which is actually in the upper torso, swivel at the neck, all good, all good. And then there is her fully equipped mode where she has the mask on the side of her head and she has her cloak on. And the cloak doesn't do anything to hinder her articulation, it's just kind of on there. That's why I use denim, because it's a nice flexible fabric that gets out of the way. It's the same denim scrap that I used to make Neo Metal Sonic's cape. And yes, it would be fraying along the edges, which is why after cutting it, I use crazy glue to glue down all the fibers along the edge of the cuts, so this denim is not going to fray on me. And, funnily enough, she is still able to hold the Wisp on that I originally made for the Jazz Wars figure. It's a little bit underscaled, but, not by much. I mean, it's a big fun gun, and it's not like I really researched the scale of how it should be for the Jazz Wars figure. I just happen to have parts. So yes, let us connect. Let us show Tangle and Whisper standing next to each other to show that they scale quite happily next to one another. And at 4 inches tall, they happily scale with the existing Jakks Pacific line too. So hooray for that! We have Tangle and Whisper, the iconic duo. Now, I still have to make a Jazzware scaled figure of Jewel the Beetle. Should I make a Jakks scaled Jewel too to go with these two? I don't know, we'll let Future Angel worry about that, because I got a lot of commissions to catch up on, and I think this is one of the last figures that the muses had taken me on, so now that I have all the figures that I wanted to make for the sake of art out of the way, we can get to actually making, paid work. Because I'm kind of far behind on that. I think I only made like one commissioned figure last month. Yikes, I kind of suck at this now. Anyway, Wakeangel2K1 signing off.